This is Greg Trotwine with Maritime Reporter TV, and we're very pleased to be joined today by Elspeth McMahon, who was recently named the Associate Vice President for Maritime Initiatives at Old Dominions University. Elspeth, to start, I understand that you have a long and diverse maritime background. To start us off, can you discuss your career path, including insights on when you knew that yours would be a career in maritime?
So I was very lucky. I learned about the maritime industry at a very early age, kind of by chance. I really liked the ocean and I loved math. So I actually read about a person who was a cruise ship navigator when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And I just knew this field was for me. I learned more about it. I learned about the maritime industry, and that's all I wanted to do. So I got very lucky, but I did stumble upon it. Never been on a boat before, didn't grow up near the coast, and I've been very blessed to be in this industry. So my career led me to, I started off at Massachusetts Maritime Academy, graduated 2004. I studied marine transportation. Upon graduation, I got a U.S. Coast Guard license, so I was able to work on board any type of merchant vessel. And I also commissioned in the Navy, which was an optional program at the school. And just my personality and what I wanted to do with my career, the Navy Reserves really was such a great fit for my background. So I sailed upon graduation for Maersk Lines Limited, mostly in the Pacific, and I kind of upgraded my license. And then I decided I wanted to go back to school and further my education. And I ended up getting a job at New York Maritime College. So you're probably familiar with it being in Long Island. So SUNY Maritime College, or otherwise known as Fort Schuyler, is in the Bronx or in Throgs Neck. And I taught there for almost a decade. So everything in the marine transportation department, cargo loading, ship stability, electronic navigation, collision avoidance, terrestrial navigation, really loved teaching there. And then I got to be a part of people's careers and growing kind of their future with education. I also got my master's degree there. After about a decade, I wanted to kind of grow my naval career. So I went active duty for 3 years and I worked for Military Sealift Command Pacific. So I'm a strategic sealift officer, which is basically the reserves for the Merchant Marine, and really enjoyed my time working for the military. And I was able to also earn the GI Bill. After finishing my time there, I decided to pursue a PhD, and I went overseas. So I'm currently still finishing up my PhD at the University of Antwerp and Antwerp Maritime Academy. So I currently have a chief mate's license, I'm a commander in the reserves, and I'm very thrilled to be here at Old Dominion University in this new role.
So let's fast track to today. What attracted you to the position at ODU? And while I know that we're very early on, what are your top 3 or 4 guiding priorities for the coming 12 to 24 months?
Well, my career thus far has really led me to find that I do have a really strong passion for maritime education and training. And I always kind of envisioned myself and lined my education up to be able to run a large maritime program at a larger university. I read a lot about the school. I knew a lot of people that were associated with the school or went here, knew it's a fantastic institution. It's in such a remarkable location. It has so many maritime related industries and facilities right in its own backyard. So when I saw this job posting, I thought this really just is the position built for me. And luckily it worked out, and I'm very excited to be here. So that's what kind of attracted me to move to Norfolk, where I'm still getting settled and kind of finding my footing, but really enjoying, the start to this position. So even though it's early on, I've been here for about 2 weeks. For the next 12 to 24 months, I really want to grow ODU's presence in the maritime space. So I want to do this by strengthening current relationships with the industry and finding new relationships in the maritime space. And this is anywhere from large corporations to small business startups. Also, I'm not sure if you're aware, but ODU has recently announced the creation of a school for supply chain, logistics, and maritime operations. So this isn't a maritime school, but it's a school of supply chain that has a maritime component to it. So in the next year, I really want to work with academic affairs, the faculty and the staff to grow the right maritime type degrees and programs within the school to kind of meet the needs of the industry of the future. There's also a newly announced School of Cybersecurity. And if you haven't been familiar with the world of cybersecurity, it's really booming. I recently read there's like 50,000 jobs in cybersecurity that's going to be coming out in the next few years in the greater metropolitan DC area and throughout Virginia. So within the School of Cybersecurity, there is a space for specifically maritime cybersecurity. So there'll be a space for research that's applied in nature to really solve industry problems and industry needs related to maritime cybersecurity.
And I know from the discussions that while the level of technology in the maritime sector continues to advance exponentially, there's a great and growing need for qualified personnel, quote unquote, the next generation. How do your efforts and ODU fit into that discussion?
Well, Greg, you're absolutely right. There is a definite need for the new generation of skilled workers in this field. For example, Hampton Roads specifically, this region needs skilled tradespeople. There was a report that recently went out that 8,000 new skilled tradespeople are required in this region alone in the next 5 years. That's a massive opportunity, a massive challenge, but also a massive opportunity for us. And what type of jobs are we talking about? What type of skills? This is work in shipyards, ship build, repair, and maintenance, and jobs such as electrical engineers, pipe fitters, welders, quality assurance inspectors, design engineers. And all of these jobs are going to be affected by changes in technology. So here at ODU, we are an R1 doctoral research university. So that means we have very high research activity. So my position kind of falls under the Office of Research. Within the Office of Research, I'll be working very, very closely with VMASC. So those of you listening out there that aren't familiar with VMASC, this stands for Virginia Modeling, Analysis, and Simulation Center. If you're not familiar, please look us up. We do a lot of great things in the industry. Within VMASC, we have MIBE, which is Maritime Industrial-Based Ecosystem, and Digital Shipbuilding. So basically the goals of MIBE and Digital Ship, which work under VMASC, is to strengthen the Hampton Roads economy through the optimization of the maritime industry. So they work with key industry partners, for example, Newport News Shipbuilding. We work on building a K through 12 talent pipeline, and actually a K through 20 talent pipeline, so working with people through college. And they really focus on curriculum, training, program development, outreach, and workforce development. So through these programs, through VMASC, we are really trying to answer this question and get the next generation of skilled workers for the future.
With your background, can you put in perspective the transcendent changes we're seeing in maritime today, from autonomy to digitalization to alternative fuels, as compared to any other time frame in your career?
Yes, this is such an exciting time to be a part of the maritime industry. I'm seeing changes in technology unlike ever before. I remember 12, 15 years ago when ECDIS, electronic charts, came out, and that was kind of very, transformative to navigation and to how ships navigate and how ships move. So today there's so much going on in different sectors that really do affect the maritime industry. Some of the big things that ODU in particular is focused on, and things that I'm going to be heavily involved with to make sure that we're answering the needs of the industry, are autonomous systems. So this goes in line, with the studies I've been doing with my PhD research. In autonomous systems, they're not to take our jobs away, but they're to help us do our jobs better. So I know there's some type of fear out there when you hear autonomy of, machines and robots taking our jobs away. That's not true. We're working with humans to make our jobs better, to make us do our jobs better. We're also looking at digital transformation. Another big sector that's coming specifically to Hampton Roads is offshore wind. So if you're not familiar with offshore wind, those of you listening out there, check it out. There's such great opportunities for jobs in offshore wind in the next few years. Things like technicians, project managers, personnel engineers, marine scientists, data analysts. So offshore wind is really going to be booming, and it's great because it's green energy. Other things that we're looking at here at ODU, cybersecurity, like I mentioned, we created the new school to help be on the cutting edge of cyber, and advanced manufacturing. So the opportunity is all around us here, and ODU is really positioned to be a leader in training and innovation in the industry. The way people have learned is also changing, and that's why I've been so happy to be able to continue my education throughout the past 20 years, because the way people learn is completely different the way it was when I was in school. Back, 20 years ago when I was in school, we barely had laptops. We didn't have social media. We didn't have, all of these ways of communication. So just learning how people learn today and being aware of that really will help us build better programs and provide better training for people in this industry.